Graham, we're going to have a look at the Stewards Report from Menangle last Saturday night. We start with race 1, Mr Chow winning, Ashley Grives and Todd McCarthy combining.
Yes, look, the horse had form, Greg, but of recent times possibly a little below par. The pace of the race, I think there was a sectional in the middle of the race which probably sealed the fate of the favourite Juvella. We did ask Gavin Fitzpatrick in respect to the circumstances of his horse during the run. Gavin explained that he had attempted to get a cart forward from probably the vicinity of the 700. There were two runners in front of him, that one driven by Darren Binskin, who essentially went nowhere. He came back and then drove for luck, and the horse, I think, ran up to its usual form, but the middle section will probably sealed its fate, unfortunately.
Okay.
We did also report in that race, Greg, that I'm Alex was held up at a vital stage in the straight.
What about race number 2, Arms of an Angel, this boom mare from New Zealand? She went 150.3.
Yeah, clock tells the story. End of the section. She's pretty exciting to watch, and is a progressive horse for both Shane Tritton and Harness Racing in New South Wales.
All right, so nothing to report really out of race number 2. Race 3. Now, this was the race won by Lochinvar. Gave Ashley Grives a double. Yeah,
look, from the steward's perspective, Greg, Lochinvar ran up to its previous run. I think it was a winner at Bathurst. We reported some interference halfway down the straight, in which Gaius Cesar, driven by Lauren Pinella, had come out underneath Pop from the beach, and that horse struck a wheel. The stewards adjudged that that interference was caused by Lauren Pinella, and her licence to drive in races was suspended for a period of 11 days. And my understanding is that now has some impact on Lauren's participation in the Inter-Dominion in Perth. I think Amanda Turnbull's taking the drives on a couple of the stable runners this week. We did also report in that race that Dalton Bromack bled, and Mr McCarthy didn't appear to be aware of a previous bleeding attack which had happened in May in New Zealand. We were advised by the Racing Integrity Unit in New Zealand during the week, and the outcome of that is that Dalton Bromack now is barred for life in Australia. My understanding is the horse will go to America.
Okay, so that's out of race number 3. Now, race number 4, Marty Monk was a winner for Shane Tritton and Lauren Pinella.
Yes, and we did get a change of tactics from Lauren Pinella late, probably 25 minutes before the race, which we announced but took exception to under the Harness Racing New South Wales change of tactics policy. There's a requirement that they be notified 45 minutes before the race to allow us to broadcast that on Twitter and through the course announcers and so forth, and subsequently Lauren Pinella was charged with an offence under 44.1 and fined to $200. That penalty was moderated from the normal tariff of $300 because the Tritton stable generally are the most compliant stable in the state as far as their change of tactics are concerned. And we took it that it was an oversight on the part of Lauren, who was had a busy night otherwise.
All right, so that's race number 4. Now, race number 5, this was the start of the Amanda Turnbull run. McArdle's Chance, Steve and Amanda Turnbull combining to win.
Yeah, look, a horse I think we reported that didn't have a lot of luck at its previous start, but he had been, in fairness, out of form in these types of claimers. It probably just is indicative of the difference that Amanda Turnbull has on some of the runners in that particular stable, as did with Lamorak later on. We did report there that, just a curious one, Mr Pizzuto, the trainer of Godsend, did come to the stewards pre-race and notify us that he would still require Godsend to be driven in its usual manner, in other words forward, but it was his preference, and he would instruct David Morris, it would be his preference not to end up in the death seat. Unfortunately for Mr Pizzuto and David Morris, that's exactly where Godsend ended up in the race. So maybe that's a forgive.
Okay, now the feature mares race, the race number 6, the Norm's Daughter Ladyship Stakes.
Chock full of interest, good field, very competitive race, quite a tactical race in various ways, and in the end, the performance of Better Be Cool basically lived up to its run the previous week. It was quite authoritative in the end. We did report that Revivalist, Par's Ultimate Delight and Snowcone all had difficulty obtaining clear ground in the straight, adding merit to their performances. and probably the performance of Sweet Molly O'Shea, now had 2 runs back from a spell, probably indicates that she'll continue to improve as well.
All right, race number 7, Lamorak, another one for Amanda.
Yeah, look, this was again a horse who I think most people would see as a deceiver of some sorts. Again, obviously Amanda's got a good relationship with the horse. We didn't report in the Stewards Report, Greg, but we do have an inquiry opened into a matter in that race into Mitch Turnbull's driving of Prince Kai for a distance in the vicinity of the home turn. The stewards were just thought that it was required for us to investigate the fact that he turned for home on the back of the eventual winner in Lamorak and made an election to shift to the inside, where obviously there was the likelihood of traffic as distinct to come to the outside where there was an unobstructed run.
Okay, and what about Franco Novak winning the last?
Yeah, look, I think this horse has been steadily improving. It was certainly well driven. Greg, we did report that both Patterbing Stride and Good Time Stride both had difficulty finding clear ground in that race. So unfortunately for the owner, Mr. Rosado, he's had no luck.
All right, Graham, thanks for that, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Pleasure, Greg.